Ooh, finally some grass to touch. Yeah, that should be enough. Whether you're writing a story for a movie or designing a video game, the world you create plays an intrinsic part and should be connected to the narrative or the gameplay in some way. After all, the main goal of creating a world is to assist the medium it's being experienced in. It not only helps to immerse and captivate your audience, but it also grounds your characters in your setting. Establishing the right things can make a fictional world feel real. Well, not real, as in realistic. More like believable. Based on the short description and the title of this video, you probably weren't expecting Minecraft. I'm gonna talk about more games, but I believe Minecraft makes an interesting example, so bear with me, I'll get to it. First, I want to quickly go over the, in my opinion, most important characteristics of what makes a fictional world function. And here they are. Change 1 and the correlating aspects have to be adjusted accordingly, and they have different priorities depending on the type of story you want to tell. Despite this, the rules and laws remain the most important, since they are quite literally what hold them all together. Loosely speaking, it entails all the general rules of a world. What is possible, what isn't, is there a magic system of sorts, and how does it work, and so on. Because if literal magic is a factor in a world, then of course the inhabitants will make use of it, and the culture of the people will probably form around that magic system. And from a narrative perspective, they don't even have to make sense if they are consistent. And sometimes it's even better to keep things vague to make them more compelling and interesting. But when talking about video games, the priorities change even further, because, and I can't stress this enough, gameplay. A consistent world that's nice to look at isn't enough for a game, especially not if it clashes with your gameplay, like this, and makes your gameplay necessary parts look like this. Someone got paid for this. Gameplay takes priority, but the world you experience the gameplay in should assist it and not hinder it. So, rule of thumb, if I don't notice it during gameplay, then it's not bad. If it can make me go, that's neat, then it's great. For the other aspects, I don't want to go into detail since they seem kind of self-explanatory, and this video is mainly supposed to be about highlighting some games I personally like, and I think excel at some of them, so don't expect a deep dive into the subject. Oh yeah, Minecraft. The prime example of one of those games that have as much to offer as you make of it. This doesn't work for everyone, but I will still occasionally play this game for years to come. But more importantly, it's finally at a point of time where I can unironically call it a good game on the internet. So now let me explain Minecraft to you like it's some undiscovered gem. First glance, the gameplay seems to have the depth of Lego. Punch block, place block or craft new block. That's all there is to it. The actual depth comes from where you punch the block and where you place the block. Riveting. The rules are laid out to make the world of Minecraft quite literally the gameplay. The creative mode with some mods is straight up a great tool for world building, but I like the flow of survival mode a lot more. Let me explain. You boot up the game and start a new world. After walking around, you find a spot that you like, or a spot that's just convenient, and you start building a shelter for the night. You mine resources while it's dangerous outside to expand your shelter. But first, you put down some stairs and lay out a path to make the terrain easier to traverse. After establishing a groundwork for your base, you decide that starvation isn't something you'd like to experience. So you grow some crops near your path, because water happens to be close by, and so on and so on. You plan out how you want things to look, but you also establish things out of need or convenience. Some structures have staying powers, others don't. Later down the line, after gathering enough materials, you might even rebuild some things to make them look nicer. Breathing new life into a structure you didn't even plan for, and the process forming the world in a very natural way. And you gain a certain familiarity with the environment only a few games can create. This game offers a lot of creative freedom, and creative freedom is something I like to abuse sometimes. But I also try to change things up with creative limitations. My favorite one would be trying to fit my buildings to the terrain and incorporate the environment in some way. You can build the same shack everywhere, but if you try to fit it to a piece of land, you will find that it doesn't work as well unless you make some changes. And those changes will inevitably lead to a more organic and natural looking building. I also like to have these big open spaces, just for the looks, and it's bitten me in the ass several times, but looks over practicality, so I refuse to change it. Minecraft gives you so much creative freedom that some would even go as far as to call Minecraft art. But I definitely wouldn't. Despite the way this game looks, it's still quite detailed and can be very atmospheric at times. Nothing feels out of place, and new changes and additions are always chosen with a lot of consideration, so it stays this way. And if you look for it, there's even a sort of history to uncover. Game theory can make 100 Minecraft videos and nothing after all. It hits a certain sweet spot with its graphics, kind of a detailed minimalism. Well, I'm talking about all the small touches that try to shove some realism you didn't expect to find into a funny block game. For example, the way rain drops through leaves and evaporates when it hits lava. Trees turn white over time when it snows. Campfires produce a lot more smoke when you place them on top of hay. Copper blocks oxidize over time, and they oxidize faster if you place them down by themselves. Cats seek out lit furnaces or beds because they like to sit in a warm spot. By now you're probably at the edge of your seat thinking, wow, this is mildly interesting. Well, don't you worry. There are more obscure mechanics, and it's the kind of obscure you'd expect to show up in an immersive sim. Stuff like, you don't sink into deep snow when wearing leather boots, chocolate cookies are poisonous for birds, you can put a wet sponge into a furnace to dry them, and if you put a bucket into the bottom slot, you can collect the water with it. Bookshelves are more flammable than wood planks, and there is even more weird stuff you will probably never need. The world of Minecraft is as far removed from realism as can be, and it doesn't need to be. It's the way it is to allow the gameplay, and everything is built upon that premise. Combine that with the consistent art direction, the weirdly existential atmosphere, the most chill music to ever reach your eardrums, and the natural flow of gameplay, then you get a game that, despite it looking like this, still manages to be, at least, somewhat believable. Well, now I definitely need some more grass to touch. You know, I'm always down to place blocks all day, but I also want to stay productive. So I usually play something less time-consuming, like Monster Hunter. But first, a message from our sponsor. Subscribe, or else. Who are you? What's Monster Hunter about? Well, hunting monsters. If you're disappointed by this answer, well, tough luck, you're missing out. Heaving around comedically large weapons isn't immersive or realistic per se, but it sure makes you feel like Spider-Man. And apart from the great weapon feel, that's largely thanks to its setting. The world of Monster Hunter is filled with danger. As expected of a world full of monsters, dragons and other lizard horrors. When encountering one of these abominations, a normal person would curl up and piss themselves. But not one of these dudes. They go mental. Cheering, dodge rolling, then backhanding the monster all for a new pair of gloves. And your new gloves will inherit some properties of the monster. Electric gloves from an electro thing and so on. This logic of using what nature provides extends further than just a means to an end for the gameplay. The people of this world use everything available to them, making them uniquely equipped to accommodate for their eco-zone and creating a certain flair in the process. Some man-made structures even incorporate the nature around them or straight up use monster parts as material. A more direct but still great example for Monster Hunter's environmental storytelling would be the hub for a Monster Hunter world. The game starts, you hear about how challenging the voyage to the new world has been, and Astera really hammers that point home. Built from countless shipwrecks and glued together with whatever they had lying around. Like flip a ship 180 degrees and now you got a marketplace. How did this ship end up on top of a mountain? Well, I don't know. But that's what's so great about it. The information is there, but it doesn't get dropped in your face and it makes it so much more intriguing. I personally would have loved if they went a little bit more overboard with the shipwreck theme, as to make it feel a little bit more Monster Hunter-y, but it's still great. Monster Hunter does such a great job of selling its premise. It would have been so easy to just go with a generic fantasy setting, but they went the extra mile. Because of course a game about hunting monsters is set in a world where hunting monsters has a significant impact on the culture. The hunt is a cultural cornerstone, and so are the hunters. Speaking of which, your name? John Hunter. Your mission? Well, it's in your name. What I love is that you don't play as some chosen one or someone with special abilities. Though athletic, your dude is just some average Joe. or John in this case. This directly correlates to the fact that Monster Hunter puts a great emphasis on its multiplayer. Compared to something like Elder Scrolls Online, you know, a game specifically designed for multiplayer, where in the beginning you're made out to be someone special, only to finish the tutorial and find 50 other chosen ones down the street. Weird story beats like that would even kind of work in Monster Hunter, because the games usually don't take themselves too seriously. In older games, the story basically only exists to hype up the next monster, and nowadays the only thing you can get out of it is some practice for your mashing. Though a thing that can even stop me from mashing is great set dressing. If the environment design is strong, I will always take my time to look around and take in the details. It's fun, and Monster Hunter rewards you for doing so. And that brings me to another aspect of the games I like. They always have a light-hearted tone and a general silliness. No one ever acts like they're in the appropriate amount of danger one of these things poses. They still respect the monster, but it never seems like they fear them. This tone is made extremely clear through the exaggerated animations of the goofy-ass motion capture. And animations there are plenty. Take a closer look at the hub from Rise and you can see what I mean. Even though this hub is considered to be weaker than earlier ones, there is still a lot of character to be found here. Hubs are designed for the player to spend a lot of time here, so everyone has multiple sets of animations and locations they can be at to keep it somewhat varied, even after a lot of playtime. Some react to you passing by, like the chef from the tea shop, and, well, practically everyone that isn't currently too busy to notice you. Or this dude stands here and does whatever. Or looks at the weapons by the shop. The sailor cat who's just standing by this house. Okay, can also be seen enjoying some dango at the tea shop. Same as the arena quest, ninja dude from the Gathering Hub can occasionally be seen on top of a roof doing the same. There are a lot of unique and fun animations everywhere, for the only apparent reason to make the world livelier. But to be fair, the characters are probably the best part of Rise's hub, but the worst part of Monster Hunter in general. They are greatly overshadowed by the monsters. Whomst would have thought? Especially in Monster Hunter World, it's set a new bar when it comes to the complexity of monsters. Following one around, you will notice they all have unique routines and behaviors. You can see them hunting, going to a waterhole for a drink, or just chilling in their nest. Their routines can even shed light onto their abilities. Monsters spitting poison can sometimes be seen eating various poisonous plants, which makes sense, but who thought to include a minute detail like this? And they all also behave different when you encounter them. Some don't care that you're around, some try to get away from you, and some try to carpet bomb you the second they notice you. Could you please not? And like I said a million times already, if you take your time you will find a million details. Or just type up Monster Hunter documentary and you can watch 5 hours straight of fictional dinosaur ecology. Though creating details like this can be kind of thankless, because most players won't even directly notice them. But even if they go unnoticed, they still make a difference. So every detail counts. Hey. I hope I could hold your attention with the weird stuff I find enjoyable. I actually wanted to talk about more games. But shit takes time and I'm lazy, so there will probably be another video like this. Stay tuned, it will only take about 9 months.